This is a special episode of The Pretty Little Death. If you have been a listener of our podcast, you know that some time ago I entered a short story contest. The topic of this story was a supernatural romance, and it had to have some elements in it. I jumped at this challenge because I love writing, and I love writing good romance stories. This wasn't about smut. It wasn't about anything in particular, but we had an idea, and I mean we by me, the bestie, and one of our mods, actually. They gave me an idea about something a couple of weeks before I knew about the contest. So I had a general idea and I submitted it, and although I didn't win, I enjoyed this process so entirely that I am excited to do it again. There were multiple rounds that the short stories went through, and although I didn't make it past the first, others have read the story and they said that it was really good. So that being said, I decided that even though I wasn't in the top 10 of over 1,100 submissions, I did want to share it because I enjoyed writing it so much. And I think it is a heartbreakingly good romance. So please enjoy my submission for this little contest, and I hope you enjoy The Harbinger. The sisters' voices rose with a soft flutter in harmony around Belethal. Her head bowed so low her curled dark horns almost brushed the ground where she knelt before the leader of their order, the Irreverent Mother. She deserved this woe that now took place in her chest, the cavity empty where her heart once beat. Belethal didn't need it, not now that she had found him. The agony she had once reveled in no longer held the same dark joy she had once experienced in the days of her youth. The millennia dedicated in service, her time within the hellfire spent torturing those unworthy, now paled in comparison to just the 2 hours spent within his arms. It wasn't supposed to be like this. He was a task, an easy one for a harbinger like her, inconsequential to the ebb and flow of life. Harbingers were not evil per se, but they did make those who were atone for their misdeeds on earth. A habitual thief like him was not going to be released for reincarnation without some time in the pits. But Belethal didn't take him to the pits. She hadn't even left the earthly plane. Looking down at the abbey floor, the shadows cast by the hellfire danced to the drone of the sisters. This was her punishment for being selfish. Harbingers were not created to be selfish. They were here to serve the great design. Cull those unworthy and purify them in the flames to be reborn into something greater than before. She wished the flames could lick her black as pitch skin clean, make her worthy enough to join him once again, but in more than a facsimile of humanity. For his sake, she wanted to be human. Her knees ached where she stayed waiting. The stone was cold and unforgiving beneath her, almost as unforgiving as she knew the Irreverent Mother to be. Belethal had failed the very basics of her mission. Do not interact, do not interfere, and do not dally. Harbingers brought the souls back on time without affecting the target's sphere of influence. They were death. They were the daughters of Charon. They were the cousins of Valkyrie, and she had failed. The chorus became silent, and Belethal looked up. The mother's face was a dark mass within her black wimple, hiding every feature in shadow. Hers was a face Belethal hoped never to see, her voice not to hear. Both could give the disgraced Harbinger respite from her shame, but it would be a forever rest. A wipe from existence, as death could not come for its agents. The mother sighed and held Bethel's face in her hand. A tear escaped Bethel's eye even as she clenched them close against the tender brush of the mother's thumb upon her cheek. She didn't want to meet her end here, not when she could still feel the warmth of his hands as he trailed his fingers up the inside of her thigh. She had to be hard and unfeeling during her daily existence, but for those 2 long and entirely too short hours, She was soft for him. At first she had stared at him, his hair lighter than hers, even in her earthside disguise. He threw his head back and roared with laughter before picking the pocket of the utterly charmed innocent in front of him. Belethal was enchanted by the sound and the light that bounced off him. He was stunning. She felt herself grin with him. The day was lovely and warm with the late spring air. It was perfect for a wedding, the wedding her target had crashed. Belethal hadn't minded, as she enjoyed the spring more than any other season Earth had to offer. With spring came the return of the birds, and how she loved to watch them. It was her one guilty pleasure. He was like one of her favorites, a ruby-throated hummingbird. The music from the live band had a lull before changing from quiet chamber music of old to something a little more up-tempo. He waved off his mark before turning towards Bethel's eye line, where he stopped as if struck dumb. This would be a perfect moment, she thought. Smite him down and haul him in for cleansing. But instead, she found herself grow excited as he slowly made his way through the crowd towards her. Belethal quickly checked her hands, making sure the rich, dark mahogany of visage was showing instead of the inky jet of her true skin. To blend in Earthside, all of the Harbingers appeared to be human in some form. Her favorite was what she wore now, tight curls and brown eyes. Truly, these fake bodies were meant not to draw attention, so she was neither lovely or plain, but just the right features to seem inconspicuous. Obviously, it didn't work this time as he stood before her, his eyes shadowed by intrigue and want. "Hi," she said lamely, already kicking herself for breaking the most fundamental of all the rules. She glanced away, partially to break his intense stare, but also to check her surroundings. His smile brightened as she met his eyes again. "I didn't see you before. Were you at the ceremony?" He shifted on his feet and leaned in closer to her. She shook her head and audibly gulped. "No, I was late." She looked around again. Damn it, she needed to extract herself from the situation and then quietly finish her mission. The mother let her hand fall away from Bethel's face, jarring her out of her remembrance. She needed to be present during her trial. With the comfort of the mother gone, she jolted in place as the sister stepped forward with a scroll of her charges. The sudden movement, the shifting of her weight, caused her knees to scream in agony once more. It was unbearable, then became soothing. "Your crimes endanger your sister and Harbinger, Belethal." The whole of the order came from the shadows and gathered around the mother to watch the reading of the charge scroll. "Do you object to the listing of offenses?" Belethal closed her eyes again and lowered her head. The sister's voice melted away, giving to a peaceful quiet. Belethal breathed deeply, then raised her chin at the touch of her head. He stood before her, his fingers twining within her curls and burrowing into its mass. His fingers may be seeking, but his touch was still tender. He drew her towards him, and she marveled that his lips were softer than she expected. Her hands found his shoulders easily, as she was just a bit taller than him. A shiver went down her spine at the ripple of his muscles as he gripped her hips. She was used to being the strongest, most muscular, but no one had noticed her during a mission before. No one had made her want to be softer. She felt herself relax beneath his touch. "And because of your dereliction of duty, your reaping was incomplete, and the soul has not been able to be found since." The sister rolled the scroll up and handed it back to someone behind them. "Do you deny these accusations?" Belethal, staying silent, shook her head. She wasn't a liar, for all her newly found faults. She knew she had erred in a way never seen from other Harbingers. Other infractions had been met with censure, of course, but nothing more ever. If she showed her sincerity and her contrition, she should be fine, she thought. She would give anything to continue her work, her duty, knowing he was out in the universe, continuing to live his life. "And if given the chance," the sister sneered, "would you rectify the reaping and bring in the soul?" Belethal froze. Could she do that, bring him in, even as she felt the ghost of his touch run up her thigh again? She could not escape the vivid memories of their time together. She felt his lips brush her temple, the squeeze of hands, the bite of his fingers. She was haunted by him. She swallowed a moan as he nibbled down her neck and his fingers trailed up her thigh under her skirt. This was new territory for her and thrilling. She should be using his diverted attention to proceed with the culling, but she couldn't. Not when that attention was solely on the path his fingers took. Her blood started to burn the closer he got to. "Would you?" the sister pressed. A tear rolled down Bethel's cheek, her mind slipping between then and now more easily than before. His kiss pulled her bottom lip from between her teeth, making her gasp and melt into him and his searching fingers. Her whole body quivered in excitement, earning her a confident smile from him. "You are the loveliest," he murmured against her lips. "Would you, Harbinger?" The chorus's drone began again, only highlighting the sister's demand. Belethal swallowed hard and steeled her spine. "No," she whispered. The universe, made of millions upon billions upon trillions of bits of matter in constant movement and change, seemed to have stopped. The Irreverent Mother, who had stepped back during the reading of charges, became the only figure Belethal could focus on. And in that moment, with everything in her, she knew she would never be able to call him. Not now. As the Reverend Mother leaned forward and her wimple drew from her face, Belethal began to cry in earnest. For those 2 hours she had known a different kind of love than that of her fellow sisters, and as the mother's lips became clearer, Belethal found a peace she did not expect. "You have dared to go where none before you went, dear Harbinger Belethal." The mother's voice was melodious and a soft whisper in the abbey. "Love is what binds our work to that of the universe, not to one another." She pressed her lips to Bethel's forehead and sealed the kneeling, disgraced agent of death's fate. She could feel everything, and yet nothing at all as the mother's kiss lingered on her hellish skin. She was being unwritten, unwoven from the whole congregant. As pieces of her started to vanish, so too did the weight of her deeds, until there was nothing. Her essence floated away upon the ether, swirling amongst the stardust of the universe before melding with each other. Feeling nothing any longer, Belethal was finally one with the universe, and then molded into a new being. She cracked her tiny white shell, and saw the sun through dappled leaves above her. She was cold, but surrounded by the spongy cotton of her parents' nest. She watched her new mother watch her from the edge. A foreign and fleeting thought passed through her, how she wished to be a male, and have the bright ruby chest to be beautiful in this life, before all thought of her previous life fled her. Below the nest, Derek walked down the street, speaking into his phone, totally unaware of the new life beginning above him. "Man, that wedding was a blast." "No, not much at all. But dude, there was this woman. Gorgeous. I didn't even get her number, but I gotta find her. Best reception ever." "No, not as a mark. No. No, I want to take her out to dinner." "Yeah, man, I think she could be the one." This has been a recording of a reading of The Harbinger by me, the critic. Thank you so very much for listening to my short story. I hope to bring more of them to the channel for your input and enjoyment. We normally have a Book of the Month meeting on the 24th, but because our book was released so late in the month and we only had a week to read it, we're actually pushing out the episode. This is a thank you to our most loyal listeners who were expecting an episode. I hope this will tide you over until we can bring you the release of that episode. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Pretty Little Death, a podcast that is dedicated to reading and the enjoyment of books.